The connection with between Kelso High School and Flores Castle started about 6-7 years ago. We had a bee club at school and we needed somewhere to keep our bees, and we started a conversation with Flores Castle, who very kindly offered us a plot of land just outside the walls of Flores Castle on an allotment, which was absolutely essential to help us establish the beekeeping course. Now that was 6 or 7 years ago, and since then there has been so much activity.
I think it's been a brilliant connection that we've started, and I've always been interested in bees, coming from a family of small beekeepers. And since I came to Flores, I investigated the idea and proposed that we have a connection somehow with local beekeepers. And it was through that we made the connection, and connecting with the children, the students who are studying bee management. As a result, we've now got a couple of hives here.
Interestingly, there's been the development of a national qualification called the National Progression Award, offered by the SQA in beekeeping, and Kelso was the first school in Scotland to be approved and to award young people that qualification. Today there are almost 20 schools at different stages of getting approval. The most important thing that we learn in Bee Club is how to work with bees to help them thrive, so that they are healthy, so that they produce enough honey for themselves to sustain themselves through the winter, and also so they produce an excess for us to consume for ourselves.
What's this sort of tool that you're using?
Using a hive tool.
Yeah. And that's just separating.
And that's just for gently levering hive parts apart. So we've got a sharp end here, which we need to keep sharp, and we've got a little lever there for levering out frames. And we're using the smokers to subdue the bees, to calm them, and to allow us to be in control during an inspection rather than the bees being in control of us.
Okay.
Young people at school are going to be so pleased about this.
Oh, there's oodles.
Look at all
They're
that.
filling loads. That's fabulous.
So one of the things that we're looking for in terms of our hive management, our first inspection, is we're looking for evidence that there is a laying queen.
Okay.
Because the queen bee is very busy laying eggs to produce brood, and those brood eventually become worker bees, which become foragers, which collect this wonderful nectar to make into honey. So without a laying queen, the whole system would collapse.
It just breaks down.
So as beekeepers, what we need to learn how to do is how to keep a colony healthy so that the queen continues laying. And there's a little bit more learning to that than you may imagine. So what I'm trying to do here is very gently pull the frames apart, and I'm looking for evidence that there's food to start with on these outer frames. And look at that!
That's a happy,
We've got a
happy.
frame full
lovely
of
happy bees.
glistening honey.
Brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll look at the other side as well.
The other side. That's nearly capped, isn't it?
Yeah. That's perfect for extraction.
Okay.
And that's a really interesting frame, because you can see we don't have honey there, but we have larvae,
cells? Yeah. Oh,
which have developed from eggs, and here we have capped brood.
That's brilliant.
And
so
I can see some eggs in some of those cells as well.
Yeah, so the cap brood are these more nodulary ones.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And here we've got some larvae, and here we've got some eggs.
Hold on, let me see if I can get some more.
So I know straight away, or the youngsters at school, back at school, would know straight away that there's got to be a queen in here.
What's this one doing here with this?
That one there is feeding the larvae, which is at the bottom of that little hexagon there. Young people, when they do the course, they learn an awful lot about how to keep bees, how to help bees thrive, so they produce enough honey for themselves, but also to provide a surplus so that we can take a little, and all of the learning associated with that. But we also learn a huge amount about ourselves in terms of how we look after ourselves, how we manage risk, how we look after others, and the learning for that can impact people in many different ways in their lives. You know, from the young people that we have working, doing the course, several are now beekeepers in their own right. A few have gone on to study biology at university and are doing bee related projects or activities in some way.
And I guess also it's teaching them hopefully about the environment, ecology, how we connect with these wonderful creatures, to nurture and observe, group living. We are all a community at the end of the day, aren't we?
And without a doubt, and that's one of the most brilliant things about the course, is that whilst we may be teaching about beekeeping, that young people very quickly make that link and make that connection, and that becomes a very powerful part of the learning journey.